Did you know that gladiators rarely died in battle? That daylight savings time was originally intended for bug collecting? And that the man who created the headless horseman also invented Santa Claus? Learn the truth behind these and much more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Link in the description. So, yeah, what are you wearing?
Some khakis.
Nice. Are you Jake from State Farm?
Nah, I just made that up. Anyways, man, if creation is dumb, then science is dumber.
Go on.
I mean, you basically just figured out things that the Bible already knew way back 6,000 years ago.
Such as?
Such as the mitochondrial Eve.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so what is your understanding of what mitochondrial Eve is?
That all the living human all share the same genes with that, with the whoever they found.
What?
Right, they all share the same DNA, right? There's a mitochondrial DNA that everybody shares with the first thought to be, yeah, we're all uh, passed down from that one single, well, not a single, but you know. But I know you guys say that there were other, you know, primates before that who were considered, you know, humans, I guess, or
Okay, so mitochondrial Eve is not the first human being. It just happens to be a person, a female in this case, that everybody alive is related to. So, for example, if everybody except for one man and one woman today died, and they had a bunch of children, and then this genetically this wouldn't work out, but let's pretend it does. Everybody on the planet except for one man and one woman die. They have children, their children do some biblical stuff with each other and sire more children. That goes on for many centuries, and all of a sudden there's millions of people. All of the millions of people on the planet would be related to that woman who, for whatever reason, was alive when everybody else died. That doesn't make her the first woman or anything like that. So mitochondrial Eve and the biblical story of Eve are not at all the same thing. The terminology is borrowed because culturally the concept of an Eve, just people know what that is. But no, the idea of mitochondrial Eve doesn't match up at all with what the story in Genesis is telling you.
I mean, you just proved my point that everybody that's alive today are all related to that one woman, and I understand
Holy
that.
moly. No, I didn't prove your point. I told you how your point is not a scientific, how the Bible is not making a scientific claim, and science does not back up what the Bible says.
Bro, we're all related to that one person, right?
Yep. And
That's
was
what.
that person the first person?
According to you guys, no, there was other
Right. So it
people.
doesn't back up the Bible at all.
You see the similarities, right?
Barely.
All right. So let's talk about the primordial soup, right? So apparently, we were all created in a hydrothermal vent, right?
Life likely originated around hydrothermal vents. Yes.
Exactly. So what's I know there's no study that I mean there is a study where it says that wait, where you try to claim that life existed from non-life, right? Like non-organism. But I have yet to see any life being created out of some dust and dirt and lightning and
Well, then the Bible's false because that's what it says we come from: dust and dirt.
that's exactly my point. So if the
So
Bible
the Bible
says
narrative is, oh, so you're saying if the Bible is, oh, okay. Well, here's the thing. We do see, there's really no such thing as living matter, but we'll just say that there is for whatever reason. Literally what life does constantly is takes in non-living matter from the environment and uses it to create the energy that powers the living chemistry of the cell and converts some of that material into cellular tissue and whatnot. So in other words, turning non-life into life. That literally happens all the time. Life is a type of chemistry, and chemistry beget a different type of chemistry, which we call life. So you see something like that happen all the time. Not literally material that isn't living material becoming living material in absence of living material. But the concept of non-life turning into life, in principle, we see that happening literally all the time. The alternative explanation, the reason these are not analogous at all, is the alternative explanation requires magic. And magic is just something that's silly to believe in. And we have literally zero examples of magic really existing. So they're not equally, these are not equal ideas.
I mean, the fact that, you know, there was none living organism back then, and somehow, you know, these elements kind of created a living organism
Yep.
by merging together and all that. Like, there has not been one scientific research that supports that idea.
No, there's tons of scientific research that supports that idea. We've never done it in the lab before, although we have created things that are kind of sort of alive in a sense and they replicate. They don't do it indefinitely, but life won't do it indefinitely. Eventually, life is going to cease on this planet. So then it's like, okay, well, what, just because one has a bigger winning streak, that's somehow fundamentally different? I mean, not really. But, no, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, there are all kinds of things that exist in nature that we can't recreate. Black holes, hurricanes, tornadoes, just all sorts of things. Or like the sun. The sun, fusion, no, it doesn't. We've never been able to recreate that in the lab. Well, actually, we have achieved fusion in the lab before. Yeah, but only for a couple nanoseconds, so that doesn't count. Okay, well, so just because we can't do it ourselves or do it adequately to somebody's random, how do I say it, to some random set of, man, I'm totally lost for words, expectations or whatever, doesn't mean that it's not scientifically supported.
I understand that they've successfully created amino acids out of non-living materials.
Yeah, we've done that before. Yep. We also find them in nature and like in meteorites and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's amino acids. I mean, it is the block of, the DNA chain, but
No, it's not.
I mean, it's the base for the, DNA sequencing. Or whatever.
It's not. Amino acids make proteins.
Yeah, and what's in the DNA? What forms DNA?
DNA is a completely different type of molecule. It's a nucleic acid. There are some proteins that combine with DNA to form chromatin, but I think that's only in eukaryotes. Prokaryotes don't have that.
All right, so back to my point. If
You made a point?
what's more plausible though? Like, life
Magic or
just
non-magic? Non-magic.
well, they're both. Well, the primordial soup is magic though.
Nope. It's chemistry.
I just agree to disagree on that.
Well, no, it's literally not magic. There's no violation of the laws of nature. Whereas creation by a god does necessitate that.
So, what studies is there that supports, your idea that that could happen?
Origin of life research. I mean, I don't know if I could recite to you the name of any paper or anything from memory. I mean, the most famous example of creating organic molecules from non-organic molecules is the Miller-Urey experiment, which has been repeated in many different ways, many different times successfully. Now, it's not creating life from non-life, but the thinking for a really long time was the molecules of life are only capable of being produced by life, and we now know that that is not the case
How so?
because it's been done before. They have been found in nature outside of life, and in experimentally we have created them.
Wait. How were they found? How were they found in nature when life has been without the influence of life, right?
It's been found
If
in meteorites, for example.
what's been found in mirror? I've never heard of that.
In
The amino
meteorites,
acid?
every single amino acid and every single nucleic acid or nucleotide. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go study on that because I've never heard of that before.